The border issue is turning Democrats over to the Republican Party. In a real sense, in the 1970s, Nixon used school busing and what was in part a racist appeal to get Democrats to defect to the Republican Party. In the 1980s, Ronald Reagan used taxes to move Democrats to the Republicans. And now immigration is moving Democrats to the Republicans. There was a very important survey this week by the Wall Street Journal, and they asked people a fairly evenly balanced question. They said some people say that the children coming to the border should be sent home immediately, and that to let them in the U.S. and process them simply will encourage more to come, and we can't absorb them because we have limited resources. Other people say these children are coming because they're in danger and they need our help, and we should make sure that we don't send any of them back if we would imperil their safety by doing so. Once we send back those who are not endangered, we should work on assimilating the others. Okay, fair statement. And nationally, it was 51 for the throw them out and 42 for keep them here. Fairly even, but more on the Republican side. But what was fascinating was when you scrolled down the data, among Democrats, 60% said assimilate them, keep them here, but 33% of the Democrats said send them home, vastly more than you usually get on a question like this. It indicates that the blue-collar Democrats are really coming to understand how open borders destroys the prospects for their economic growth. You know, unemployment for native-born Americans is 6.8%. For foreign-born Americans, whether legal or illegal citizens or not, is 5.2%, 1.6% lower. And since the year 2000, there has been no increase in employment of native-born Americans, whereas there's been a 1/3 increase in employment of foreign-born Americans. The core reason that Abraham Lincoln differed with Thomas Jefferson and set up the Republican Party is that he believed that you could not have a wage system where people could move up through honest labor, as opposed to a subsistence farmer who never moved up, unless you could establish the wage system. And he said, how can you have a wage system with 5 million people who'll work for free because they're slaves? As long as there's that slave population, you can't have upward mobility by wages. Jefferson had a nail factory on Monticello toward the end of his life. Well, how can a worker at a nail factory in Massachusetts make a living competing with a slave in Virginia where there's no labor cost at all? And that was the point that Lincoln made. Now, increasingly, we don't have slaves, but we have low-income workers coming in at the bottom of the economic pyramid, holding down the wages of blue-collar workers. Last month, the wage of American workers rose by 1 penny, as low as you can possibly get. And the problem is that people say, oh, they take jobs that Americans don't want. Well, they take jobs that rich Americans don't want. But low-income Americans sure as hell do want. Landscaping, hospitality industry, construction. And the only reason that American-born people may not want them is they don't pay enough. And the reason they don't pay enough is because of the flood of people coming in at the bottom of the wage scale who undercut the wages of the others. So I think American workers are gradually beginning to understand this. And the clarity of the in versus out question on the border with these children arriving really has clarified that in their minds. And I think that you can expect the beginning of a very substantial defection of Democrats to Republicans, impelled by the economic realities created by the opening of our southern border. Thanks for watching.